I'm gonna join y'all. I'm gonna join in with y'all. I'm gonna call you on my phone.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Ideals on relationship. Communication. Yes. You got that. You got that.
We are there. Well, just to enlighten everybody, we're waiting on DeAndre too. But I'm gonna go ahead and start the show because we should.
That's
And,
right.
As we always do, as DeAndre says, and I've said many times before, we welcome everybody to Northwest Austin Council this Sunday evening. We try to do this because we feel this is the most convenient time and for people to interact and understand what's going on and share their experiences, questions, comments, and what have you. Oh, let me turn this on. Hold on. There we go. Much better, much better. But as I said, yeah, we're just starting up the show. We got Arnold here, Arnold Bearden, illustriously known as the mayor of Austin. I had to find that out from the Honorable Richard Borkin the other day. I talked to Richard Borkin, and I told him, I said, Arnold and I, been reaching out to him and just checking on him. And he said, yeah, I talked to the mayor of Austin the other day. I said, the mayor of Austin? Who's the mayor? I had to think about that. I said, the mayor that live in Austin or the mayor of Austin? He said, the mayor of Austin. See, I said, oh, okay, I got you. I know what you're talking about. But again, today's show, we are going to dive into the topic known as, how do I put it? Relationships. And people, when you say that word, that's like a four-letter word to some people because they feel that it creates turmoil, I guess, or it creates issues. And I beg to differ because I believe relationships are everything. Everything's a relationship. If you go to your local store and you see your cashier, you built a relationship with that cashier because you go there often. You may even know them by name. You may know them by face only, but they may recognize you. And I think it's all based on relationships. Just like let's just say, for instance, in the Wild Kingdom, everything in the wild is that how you say it? Wild Kingdom or in the wilderness? Wilderness? I guess, I don't know. But where the animals roam, let's just say that. They have a relationship. they have what's known as a relationship, and everybody understands. Every living being understands what their relationship is in accordance to the other. And some are predatory, some are just they're trying to coexist as they can, I guess. That's what you want to call it. But relationships, in my mind, good, bad, or indifferent, everything. Everything, And I say everything, I mean everything. Because you have to think about it. How do we function in this world? People are so quick to become angry and posture and want to be aggressive with each other, because of what? They don't have a relationship. And even if they do have a relationship, they haven't created a very caring one. You ain't got to love the person. It helps. But, care a little bit. Maybe they care a little bit about you. But again, relationships, good, bad, or indifferent. One of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because just the other day, my neighbor, she was out with her little kids, and I was telling her about the other neighbor 2 doors over that her kids put her in a home, a senior home, and I was telling her about the guy behind me, that he's having a problem with his neighbor right next to him because he parks his car right in front of the guy's house, and the guy was like, "Hey man, was you trying to disrespect me?" I'm like, "Wow." He said that. He said, "Yeah, man." He said that. "Why don't you park in front of your house? Won't you?" He said, "But see, the reason I don't park there because the tree is there, and that tree sometimes drops huge branches. And the last time it happened, it crushed the car. And so I parked in front of his spot. Yeah, but I told him, I said, nobody owns the street. We all use it." I said, "Well, that's what you should have explained to him. You should have explained that, But I told him, I said, you need to go fix that, man, because that dude's only been there maybe 6 years, 5 years, or something like that. And you inherited the house from your aunt that was there for 60 years or more. So you need to go fix that." And then he got hostile back. He said, "Man, the guy stopped posturing on me, man. He stopped posturing on me, man. What's that about?" "What you mean, what's that about? You just told the man, don't worry about where I'm parking at." You knew he was upset, but you didn't handle that right. You could have easily said to him, "Man, look, the trees fall right here. I'll make sure I don't park in your spot as much as I can, but I don't mind if you could park anywhere also." And if he said he didn't want to, I'm like, that's his choice also. He's got the choice to park here. He's got the choice if no one's there. But there's no need to build hostile relationships with your own neighbor. So as I explained this to my neighbor, she says, "Steve, man, that's why I don't get involved with nobody. Because, that's too much." I said, "Well, you're involved with me. You out here talking to me. Your kids come out looking for me. Where's someone say hi to Steve? Little 4-year-old and everything." I'm like, "Okay, you're involved with me, but you can't say that. We live on the block. We have a relationship, whether you want it to be or not. Whether you like me, whether you love me, or whether you hate me. It's still a relationship, and we need to understand where we at. Which one is it?" And and then we can talk about other relationships where people are are closely entwined by either marriage or what do you call it, courtship, right? Courtship is a relationship, right? Significant others, right. Well, boo. Your boo, yeah. Is that what they say? Yeah. But again, everybody has one. And how do we hone these? How do we foster these? How do we make them better? I've found over the years, one of the biggest things I've found in working with community, working in community, is you don't have enough relationships. We just can't get enough of them. And what I've started doing many decades ago was stop worrying about that. I found that the best way to get enough people to be related to something that is a common cause or a common issue or a common problem is just take those that are the leaders. Deal with the leadership. And the rest will, every leader's got at least 4 people that'll follow them. Or as Congressman Davis says, you ain't much of a leader if you ain't got no followers. You just got a shadow, and that's already fine. And that goes away when the sun comes up. Right? So again, we need to learn how to foster, create better, motivate our relationships. Motivate, right? What you say? And foster. But sometimes you gotta motivate. Like my neighbor, she was like, "I'm out. I don't want to talk." Because I told her about one neighbor got into it with the neighbor at the end of the block. The kid was I guess it was during the snow period. He shoveled the snow. Little kid, he's a little kid. He bounces around. He does his thing. So I guess he started pushing the snow onto the sidewalk or got in the snow. I don't know. The neighbor came out the house and yelled at the kid, and the mom heard it. Get out of my snow! Really? Your snow? Okay, whatever. You know. So the mom got mad. You don't yell at my kid. This and that. And then she said, Steve, I went and got the police. I got a report. I got a report on him just for the record. I'm like, really? All of that because of some snow. Think about what you're talking about. Think about what you escalated his escalation to. Some snow. Now, mind you, but it was on the sidewalk, man. I'm talking about the sidewalk. The little boy was just pushing the snow. I don't know. She didn't see it as being much. He might have seen it as being something because he probably just shoveled his snow. He didn't want the snow to be on the ground and create ice, as it melted. And again, he didn't want to put salt. I don't know, whatever his issue was. He could have used a little more tact, and she could have approached him and said, don't yell at my kid. And then he would have been like, why are you yelling at me? Because now you understand? You're yelling. Or she could have been, hey, I don't think that's a good idea to yell at my kid. I don't think you would want anyone to yell at your kid. And, let's talk about what this issue is. But it didn't go that way. She ended up doing what? Calling the police. Police came out. He didn't want to open his door. She said he didn't want to open his door. Then see there. Now we got this adversarial thing going on. It's back and forth. Now you feel good because every day you see this clown when he come outside his door, he sees you, and you got to be like all geeked up. Yeah, really? Okay, on your block. That's what we doing. Wow. But again, people need to know how to hone and build relationships. Even if it's a relationship where how do we say, agree to disagree? Yeah. That works also. So let me ask you got anything real before I go to any people out there and ask their opinion on relationships? You have anything to add?
No, I just want to say hello to the family out there. And taking it one day at a time, and like you said, build relationships.
Right.
And besides, Mother's Day is approaching next Sunday.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
you definitely want to build a relationship with the mother, the daughter, the auntie, the sister. Some just relationships in general.
Build them all, as you want to say.
Love, God, family,
Right.
and self.
So let me ask anybody out there have a relationship? Let's just talk about a relationship. Good, bad, or indifferent. Anybody want to chime in?
Can I start off?
Sure, go ahead, Tiny. Sure.
Yeah. Let me say hi to everybody. And in the last 2 weeks, I lost 6 friends, and
Oh, wow.
I had relationships with them. This lady named Doris, who was a real good friend of mine, and my friend Henry Jordan. Bob Grossman was the Jewish guy who helped me go to college. This lady, Bonnie, her name was Bonnie. She was the first person in our group to go to college and become a teacher. Ella Mae was Henry Jordan's sister, and his whole family treated me like I was, in their family. This lady, Audrey, was really a cute little girl who I used to have a crush on. And night before last, my son's mother passed.
Oh, man.
And yeah, so bam, bam, bam. And so, it made me think about relationships. And Maya Angelou said, it's not what you give somebody, it's not what you do for somebody, it's how you make them feel. And all of them, people made me feel different. Doris, she was my friend's girlfriend. He had kids by. She was like a sister to me. Bob Grossman helped me go to college. He used to say he each other, bro.
I remember that.
Bonnie, Bonnie was like I say the first person. She was a street person who went to college and became a teacher, and she taught some of my cousins' children. And Ella May, she always been good to me, man. I mean, she was so good to me. People would think that we had a different kind of relationship. She's just my friend. But on my birthday, she sent me. She said, "Tiny, I can't come to your birthday party, but I'm gonna send you something." And she sent me $75 and a bouquet of flowers. And and so like I really thought about, you know, my relationships with these people. And my wife, you know, I have a lot of women friends. And my wife say, these women, you know, at first she said, yeah, these women, they act like they go with you. And I say, well, hey, I knew them before I knew you. You know, I'm not gonna stop being a friend cause you know we got married, and so I don't have that problem with her anymore. She accepts my relationship, and my first wife, me and her like we just like sister and brother. We really get along good. I don't want to be married to her, but she's really a good friend. And when
Right.
I think about relationships, the most important, the most vital relationship I have is I have a relationship with God. He gave me the
Right.
strength to go through all of these things that I have to go through. And thanks for letting me say that. It's good to talk about that for a minute.
No, that's excellent. Excellent point. Tiny, very good point. Excellent point. You know, you've touched on many levels of relationships that people, I guess, take for granted or don't even, you know, become aware of. Let's talk about Henry Jordan real quick. I remember that name. Where did we talk about? How do I know him?
Okay, now Henry Jordan was a guy who I went to Dartmouth with. He was a guy who we went out. We were gonna kill him because he had hit another friend of mine in the jaw, and we got the shotgun we were gonna shoot him with. We were going to get some bullets. We stole a car, and the
Yeah.
police stopped us, you know. And when we got to the Artie home, Henry Jordan was already there. And I told
Wow.
him, man, we were gonna kill you. And he said he had been in there for 2 weeks. You know, he didn't
Wow.
know nothing about what had went on. And so like uh he was a guy who if we had got the bullets and caught Henry, I would have killed him, you know, and he and I wouldn't have never had a chance to go to Dartmouth, and you know, we went to reform school together, and he was a vice lord. No, well, let me say this part real quick. When we came in, I came in with some guys, and there was a few other guys there, so I had a little power. And the guys who were there, some Southside guys, were talking about having a party on Henry Jordan. And I told them, excuse my language, that nobody better fuck with Henry Jordan. And if they saw somebody else doing something to him and they didn't help him, we were gonna get them too. And
Right.
so when Henry got to St. Charles, he went before me because, you know, he had been arrested earlier. He told the guys what I had did for him. And so when I came in, it was like I was a prince in the vice lords too, you know.
Wow.
And that's why still a lot of vice lords think I'm a vice lord, because the guys in St. Charles gave me so much respect. But when we were going to we had the opportunity to go to Dartmouth, nobody wanted to go except Henry Jordan. He said, I'll go with you, Tiny. And we made a pledge, man, that we were gonna come back no matter what happened at Dartmouth. We were gonna come back and do something to help our people. And if anything happened to one of us, it wouldn't be nobody to tell the tale, because the other one was gonna, you know, they had to kill both of us. And
Mm.
so Henry Jordan was really a brother to me. And I am so glad that we didn't get those bullets, you know.
Right. Well, that condolences to you, Tiny, and all the people that you have lost within the last few weeks. Unfortunately, man, a lot of
Thank
that's
you.
going on.
Thank you.
But let me say this.
But
Okay, continue. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like I can't cry. That's a bad thing, man. And because I have a lot of sadness in me, and I know if I could just cry, that would make me feel so much better. But I haven't been able to cry, and 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 so I started to ask God, why me? But then I thought about it. Hey, this is happening to everybody. Death is just all around us, and I just have to accept it.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is, as they say. But one thing I was gonna say, Tiny, this is what the story you just told is a definite changing of time, because
Yeah,
the relationship between the bullets, between
yeah,
the shotgun shells and the shotgun and the transportation vehicle to get you to the scene to do what you claim you want, those have relationships. But in this time and this disposition of time in which we live in right now, that would have never happened, because bullets are like bubble gum and guns are like soda pop. And jumping in a car is like getting on the bus with soda pop and bubble gum. And it's just so ironic to hear you say you couldn't find shotgun shells at the time. You had to go get them. they weren't even in the same vicinity, But fortunately, the story came out to be something a lot better than what could have happened, And that's what I'm saying. That's an excellent portrayal of a relationship. I want to call that a 360 relationship. It started with one spot, went all the way back around, ended up right at the same spot, but with a different result. At the same spot with a different result. Anybody else want to share anything about relationships? How about you, Ella?
Well, relationships are all kind. I can have a casual relationship, I can have an intimate relationship, and I can just know you, and that's a relationship. And I feel I have a relationship with everybody I meet, because we're not at each other's throats. We're not trying to kill one or take something from somebody. We just know of each other. And that's what, a relationship is all about, knowing people and know of people. And you don't have to be intimate. You don't have to know them forever, for a long time. It could be a short relationship. But that's a human nature thing. That's being part of being a human or a person on this earth. You have a relationship with everything. I have a relationship with dogs,
Right.
So
that's an excellent point. I want to bring up something. Let's talk about back in the 90s when you had a relationship with all the gang members.
Oh, my little thugs.
You said your little thugs, right? You were in basketball when you ran the basketball program.
Oh yeah, I had a relationship with them. And I think one of the guys had put a rumor out on me that I was FBI, and I was there to lock them up and stuff like that.
Really?
And that's when they all came to my defense. That was Nail. You remember Nail, right?
Yeah, and Rainbow.
He was a body snatcher.
You remember Rainbow?
Yeah, I remember Rainbow.
I see him every so often riding past the alley. I caught him a couple times hanging out in the alley. Okay, what you doing in this alley? Man, I know all you people, man. Oh, okay. Then I called him Rainbow. He said, man, how you remember that name? I said, who don't know Rainbow?
Yeah. Well, he ain't allowed over here that much. He have to sneak over here, because his folks don't want him back over here, because he do too much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you had that kind of relationship with the guys on the streets, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Even Lil
and
Mike.
Lil Mike, I don't know Lil Mike. But
Lil Mike
that's
and his nephew, the one that killed that girl over there on I think it was not Menard. You remember she was taking her baby to the babysitter?
yeah, on Mason. That was
Yeah, and the guy came down the street and killed her. They were after her boyfriend and killed her.
yeah, I remember that. Everybody remembers that. I was on
Yeah,
TV.
that was Lil Mike.
But
Him and his yeah.
let's talk about your relationship with the block, because you are a block club leader.
Right.
And have for many years. That's a relationship in itself that most, or most people will not experience. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's right.
What it's like to be a block club leader?
Oh, it's fulfilling when you can get people to act right and do what, required. And they do have a certain amount of respect. At least the old people do. I don't know what the new people have for me yet. Because half of them don't speak English. But, I tried to form a relationship with them, but it's so difficult because of the language barrier. And I don't know what they own. So.
Well, that's a relationship that needs to be cultivated, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still working on it. I haven't given up yet. So that's
yeah. Well, one of the things I was gonna say is I talked to Spanish speaking people. They said one way to break the ice, or you want to work with Spanish speaking people, is bring them, like, have some candy and offer them some candy. He said it breaks the ice, some gum or whatever. It kind of creates a open forum for to build a relationship. Of course, you got to know how to speak, but that goes back. If you're giving them something, gum and candy, that goes back to what I've always said. The best way to cultivate a relationship is break bread with somebody. I don't care what part of the earth you on. If you ain't eating, you ain't part of this earth. Everybody eats. So just sharing food or sharing a meal is how you can cultivate a relationship. Many levels, right?
That's right.
Speaking of relationships, I'm gonna pick on somebody right now. Crystal Dyer, how are you? You hear me, Crystal? Crystal, are you there? Pick up, Crystal, when you get a chance, just chime in. But yeah, and when we talk in relationships, this is another thing. I found that relationships can be most suitable when someone knows someone else,
Yeah, I'm here, Steve.
Okay, there you go. How you been?
Huh?
How you been? We need to talk about your new dig.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing good. You know me. I just, keep it moving and, keep it smiling, And yeah. So I got a new home for my nonprofit and travel company on Chicago Avenue.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk about
Yeah. Yeah, so it's on the 4900 block. It's on Emma Metz block.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And it's still gone again?
The building is gonna be Gone Again is gonna be in the building. I'm kind of flipping it around. So it'll be the nonprofit and then Gone Again will be in the building. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a moving on up thing.
Yeah, it was like, oh Lord, it's so hard. Everybody know it's hard, right? It's not easy, and
No,
you
Chris,
know,
say that.
hmm,
Everybody don't know it's hard. Everybody think nonprofit. Oh, yeah, anybody can do a nonprofit. Let me start one. And
hmm.
they don't get. They don't get it. It takes a lot. It takes quite a bit.
It does. It does. And you're right, Steve. You are so right. That is the number one thing, like probably one of the biggest myths in the Black community. Because of course, being in business, I've had my travel agency 25 years. Actually, September will be my 25th year. I started that travel agency in my house at 642 North Lockwood
Wow. Really give
25 years ago. Hmm?
doors on more part, but
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So that travel agency has had a journey. And I founded it. Well, I actually went to school. You don't hear about that nowadays, right? People just pop up and do stuff, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
but I actually took a course at the junior college out in Palatine
Okay.
in 1998. Okay.
What college is in Palatine?
Harper
Oh,
College.
yeah, sure was. Harper. Harper
Mm-hmm.
Still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time they had a travel agent academy
Yeah. I remember
out
those
there.
days. You had to
Mm-hmm.
go to that agent to book everything, your
Mm-hmm.
vacations, just to go across the country, go to a
Right.
travel agent.
Exactly. You have to get a simple flight,
Yeah.
and everything. So yeah, so things have transformed in the last,
Well,
25 years.
because of the internet.
Yeah,
The internet.
exactly. Yeah,
All
because
that.
when I got out of school, that's when the airlines had bonded together and started Expedia.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that's
So that happened in 99.
okay.
Yeah. And so that was the whole plan for the airlines to put travel agencies as they knew it then out of business.
Mm-hmm.
But then they found, after they kept that partnership for maybe about 5 years. I think it was United, American, it was all the major airlines had you know uh forged this bond, because they were gonna, put, like reinvent the industry, and it still got reinvented, you
Right.
know, and everything, but it didn't happen the way they originally envisioned it because they found that it was so new and it was difficult. People didn't understand it. And
And to
so,
this day, what do? Everybody just they go to an agent. I mean, more than often, especially if you want to book, they go to the agent because they know they can get the deals through the agent. That's
right.
what
And
it is.
then, yeah, and then people go to the agents because guess what? 25 years later, I mean, I book, you know, yeah, if somebody want to go to Cancun and lay on the beach, yeah, go to the internet and book it yourself. But if you want to go on a cross country journey across Europe, anywhere in the world, go bicycling across the Alps, I do very complicated journeys.
Right.
So yeah, so it's not like I say, well, I'm a real advisor, right? And I'm not a travel agent. I'm an advisor, because all those 25 years of knowledge and school and
And,
CE credits and
and
everything
the
that go with it.
biggest thing is what we're talking about: your relationships with all of
Exactly.
those other places and people that you know there.
Exactly. And that is so true because those relationships, and I'll give you a perfect example when COVID hit. Okay, nothing like that had ever happened ever, in our lifetime.
Right.
And I had people scheduled to go to Africa like 2 weeks after COVID hit, and the world shut down.
Of course.
But with my relationships with those suppliers, with the airlines, the tour suppliers, the train companies, all that, I was able to get people's money back in cash.
Oh, wow.
Okay, a lot of people, all them people that clicked and booked Expedia on their own and clicked and did something on their own, or clicked and a lot of travel companies went out of business during COVID. I mean, and people never got their money back. My clients were thanking me, heart, felt thanks, because they had stuff, some of them had, other things. They were going to weddings, they were going to other things that, didn't involve me, but they let me know. They said, Miss Dyer, we never got a dime back of our money.
Wow. But yours,
Dealing with those
the clients you have had all worked out because of your relationships with
because of my relationships. So that's the part people, of course, oh, I can get it a dime cheaper. Oh, I can get it 5 cents. You go ahead. And as I tell people, Steve, enjoy your trip. Right. But when you have a problem, because guess what? In this 25 years, Steve, people have come back to me and say, please, can you help me? Please, this happened, that happened. Oh, it's a war over there. Oh, I know I didn't book it with you, but can you help me get my money back?
Wow.
And it has happened, and I unfortunately had to let them know I'm sorry, because I don't have ownership of your booking. You booked it somewhere else. And they're the only people that can help you. But they're calling me as the last ditch because those people are not helping them.
Right. Because you developed, you created, you massaged those relationships in those other countries. And that's right. why when you taking a trip, sometimes you want to be, especially you going abroad, you want to be comfortable. You want to have somebody you can fall back on and say, hey, help me, like you just said, while you're there, or go with you.
Right.
That could, it's important. It's very important.
It is.
And you do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, you might not be legal.
Right. And I'll give you another perfect example. I was actually on a trip with clients, and we were on a cruise, a group cruise. And one of the clients, came to my room and say, okay, hey, you ready to go? We're getting ready to get off the ship. And I looked at them, Steve, and they had on camouflage gear.
Oh, wow.
And I said, dear, I don't know, I said, did you read the, XYZ? And she was like, well, no, I didn't. Yeah, I saw it, but I didn't. I said, honey, you cannot get off this ship in that camouflage gear in this country where we were. I said, they will arrest you.
Right.
And she was like, what? I said, and I was like, and I always lead people back to the authorities. I said, honey, just call guest services, and they'll confirm what I'm saying. Okay. She went back to her room. When she came back, she had on regular clothes. She said, gosh, thanks, Miss Crystal. She said, I didn't know. I said, girl, I was like, hey, I say, you tell people, hey, look, here's all the documents, read this, or you go over stuff, and people forget, right? I mean, and perfect example, you see, I don't know if anybody's seen on TV, this couple went to Turks and Caicos, and the man may be getting 12 years in prison.
Because he had ammo in his suitcase.
That's right.
Yeah. Now think about that. In Turks and Caicos, however that ammo got in his suitcase, whether he forgot or somebody planted it there or he bought it there, they have so much stricter rules in America. If you get a gun ammo a gun in your suitcase in America, they take the gun and put you in the room to change you for a little bit, might give you a court date, but you still might get on the plane.
Right.
It's crazy, but that's somebody else's country. You're absolutely right. I was gonna
Right.
bring that up. I had an experience when I first went to the islands back in the 80s. I went to I never forget, I was in St. Thomas, and I went to a place called Club Z. It's called Club Z's up in the mountains. So I go down there, I have my Tego tee on, I go over, I have my khaki shorts on, my Huarache sandals, and that guy said, first thing they got me, they said $20 at the door. I'm like, $20? Man, we used to $5 at Chick Rick's and all these joints in Chicago. You know, I'm like, $20. Then he said, secondly, you can't come in here, my man, with that t-shirt, with that Dago tee on. I'm like, what? Dude, it's the islands, man. I'm gonna tell him how we supposed to do, things supposed to be. He said, nah, you ain't coming in here. And I had to go back to the hotel. I had like a what do you call those collarless cotton long sleeve shirts. I went to do that. He let me in. But I'm like, ain't that what y'all do in the islands? It's skin and sun and skin, right? But it's nighttime. I don't care about that. Go and take that t-shirt off. You can't come in here. And it was a day with T2. That was the funny part. But I just knew I could get in. But you or somebody else. I seen a guy, I never forget this. When we talking relationships. There was a guy there, he was on a scooter. And he was in front of the hotel, and you know what do you call that little where you drive underneath it, like the little round area where the cars let you. But he was on a scooter doing the popping a willie, and he was just it was at night. He's popping a willie, and the authorities there said, put it down, put that thing down now before it smash your head. And I looked out, and the guy he straightened up. Around. He's like, man, where you think you at? You ain't in America where you can just mistreat and misuse anything because you think your relationship as an American, it supersedes everything everywhere else. That don't happen like that. You better, what they say, you better get some get right in you and act right before they get it in you, put it on you and make you have it, you know?
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, about, well, they say Americans are very arrogant anyway, but I see it, of course, in 25 years, I've seen a lot, but relationships, are what help you, I always say, let's see, how's it go? Like something like, when you put kindness out in the world, you get it back like a boomerang.
Right.
And exactly. So back to relationships, everybody, it's no such thing. Everybody is not gonna like everybody, right? Because I said, I had to tell a lady this one time. I said, if that was the case, it'd be a perfect world. And we know this is not that, okay? But just keep doing the positive things, that you do, and you'll get your just rewards. You don't have to worry. I see stuff. I mean, the other day of some lady on Facebook ranting and raving and mad about saying something about organizations just say their name and they get grants and and this and that. And I thought, I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe you just need a good grant writer. You see, it ain't nobody's fault. I mean, I don't know what you do, but
she has to develop a relationship with the right people to get what she needs.
Exactly, and that's all of it right there. You can't walk around with a chip on your shoulder, not like that, and then expect people to exert kindness, because sometimes, I mean, we all have a force, right? I always would joke, saying, I mean, back in the day, right, when we were young, and you ride the L, right? I'm originally from the South Side, so you had to sit on the L. You could ride the L and the bus all night long, 24 hours a day. Back then, wouldn't nobody bother you. At least nobody ever bothered me. And but I would call it the L look. You sit, you look in a certain way, letting them know, yeah, I'm checking you out. And nobody, so we all have some type of a presence that lets people know you know, you ain't gonna take no stuff off of them, right?
We
And
call it the Chi-Town stare.
oh, okay, the Chi-Town step, right? So
Yeah.
being from the South Side, I called it the L look, okay?
Yeah. But no, when you said about Americans being arrogant, I mean, look at me. I was probably 22 at the time when I was down there, and I'm like, man, get out of here. This the island, dude. I could wear a t-shirt, a Dago tee, and this club. When I finally got in the club. I looked on the wall. They had pictures of Robert De Niro and all these other celebrities. I'm like, these people been in here? I'm thinking this is like a club, but it was very palatial.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the next year, Hurricane Hugo came. I went back and got married in 90. I was there in 88. And I went back and got married, and Hurricane Hugo hit Virgin Islands in 89 and destroyed that place. I mean, burnt shell when I went to go back into the mountains, and I was like, wow. It takes a lot of time to build in the islands because they don't have roads. You have to wait for things to come in. You have to have orders and wait for ships and cargo and even more cost. But nevertheless, we talking about relationship, y'all. And I see somebody I want to be related to, Mary Gardner, but you know good. You hear me, Mary?
Yeah, I'm sorry, trying to unmute myself and multitasking. I'm good. What's happening? It's been a minute and stuff.
Yeah. Talking about relationships today, good, bad, or indifferent.
Huh?
And I said, we talking about relationships today, good, bad, or indifferent. How to foster better relationships, how to manipulate relationships to be better, and just understanding them, you know, and in multiple ways. You know, we talked a little bit about relationships with people we went to school with, or grew up on the streets with, or developed at some block clubs, and even through travel. But what's your experience, Mary, with relationships, any level?
Well, you know, I think I'll spin it a little bit different. Maybe possibly a lack of a relationship. I was just wondering why it is that you know, people are still getting shot on the street. I don't know if they're innocent folks, but just still too much killing going on the streets. Is that because there's a lack of relationship there with those perpetrators, or what?
Right.
It's just a sad feeling to just see it still going on.
You're right. In most cases, they are individuals that they're not related to in any form of fashion. It used to be, we used to always hear about, you know, it's black on black crime or whatever, which really there's no such thing as black on black crime. Crime is crime. Let me just say that. I lived in the black community for 30 years. I lived in the majority, I ain't gonna say white community, but it's where I live now is primarily mostly white people. And trust me, the same things go on in every community. I've seen it, I've experienced it, and it's just what it is. But back to what you're saying, yeah, a lot of these crimes are unrelated, you know? It's not like this person knew this person, or it was a relative, or it was a girlfriend, boyfriend, or what have you, or spouse. A lot of these carjack. Well, first of all, who carjacks their own relative? When you think about it, I'm not saying it can't be done, but a lot of these things are unrelated, other than the circumstances that they're doing, or the issues, not the issues, but the crimes that they're perpetrating. That's the only relativity there. But yeah, if we had better relationships with a lot of things, and I want to say even law enforcement, I want to think that we can have a better or lower crime rate. That's just what I'm thinking.
You gonna
if people knew each other a little better, you know, I think it would help. What do you think, Mayor?
At this point, I'm just very, very concerned at the lack of respect for life, period. Just, baby sitting at home, getting shot through the window, and just the attack, whether there's, whether it's intentional or not, but the lack of respect for life, period. It just, I don't know. I don't want to become immune to it, but that's kind of almost where it takes you, to where you become immune to it. And I don't ever want to do that, because there's got to be an answer for how do we stop the bullets from flying.
Well, I think you probably missed last 3 shows. I brought up the 5 reasons what I think. This was my own concept, my own idea, my own thoughts, maybe some that are shared. The reasons why we have these issues today, 25 years later, is because in 1999, the assault weapons ban was lifted by the federal government, which meant people could buy AK-47s, they can buy AR-15s, they can buy submachine guns, but they couldn't buy the fully automatic ones. They could buy those. And second thing happened in 2000 was there was no death penalty in the state of Illinois. They got rid of the death penalty in the state of Illinois. Then the third thing that happened some years after 2000, more like 2011 or so, or 12, I want to say that's when the concealed carry law went into place. I need to check that, but I think it was around 2010, something like that. So concealed carry went into effect. So now let's just culminate how that culminates to where we are. First of all, you just let people get any kind of machine gun they want and told them they can't really have it fully automatic, but so what? They put clips on them. They put them on there anyway. Now they have no recourse if they shoot somebody with that fully automatic weapon, because guess what? If I kill you, I even go to jail. You can't kill me because there's no death penalty. So guess what? That's the next thing. The third thing is, guess we can conceal carry, and they can conceal carry machine weapons, machine pistols, because there is, from my understanding, a AK-47 that's a pistol version that it's considered a pistol version if you have the strap wrapped around your arm, and it's got a certain barrel that's not the illegal barrel, and then it fits down in your pants, so it's concealed carry. Now you got a machine pistol that's concealed carry, that's been taken off the federal assault weapons ban list, and you can kill somebody with it, and you ain't gonna be killed through death penalty. The fourth thing that happened, which we kind of talked about, which we said is maybe not as related as much, is what just happened 5 years ago, which is what is it, state marijuana? Was it legalized marijuana? And people say legalized marijuana. Yeah, that's true. But the problem I see is the illegal marijuana, because we had Fanya Berry on last week to talk about what's going on the streets with drugs and substances. And because I was under the belief that a lot of the illegal marijuana is tainted, but it is in some cases it was said that it is, but fentanyl is the biggest thing that's out there, along with, fentanyl has opioids in it, and opioids in itself is what. Formaldehyde, they were saying, and PCP could be in the marijuana, but they say it's not really considered marijuana, but it still has the element of marijuana in it. And then, of course, I brought up, and I talked to a legislator just a week ago about this. I said the whole idea of no cash bail, which I totally believe we should have a no cash bail system. But the legislator I spoke to, he says, yeah, but it's up to the discretion of the judge to manage it how they want to manage that. They should not have no cash bail. So I'm like, okay, hopefully we got some intelligent judges out here that are making the right choice. So you throw all that in a bag, and you wonder why we got bullets flying everywhere. People high off of stuff that ain't nobody stopping, because police, they don't stop the marijuana on the streets. They say that's just something they don't have. That's too much to deal with. So they let it happen. I'm sure everybody driving down the street smell people smoking weed out the car. You behind, every time I turn the corner, I'm right behind somebody that's smoking it in the car, which they're not supposed to do that, but obviously people don't care. And more than likely, they probably got a concealed carry. And if it's legal or not, they probably doing that. And then they don't care about the recourse because there's no death penalty. And this is what we got, Mary. That's what we kind of touched base on a couple weeks in a row. And I said to everyone, we have to come up with some solutions so that we can go to our legislators and say, hey, it's the rules, it's the laws that need to be changed. And we need you guys to change these and fix this system that we feel, needs better, definitely needs a lot better attention, Unless everybody's okay with, obviously not. Mary just said, I ain't okay with it, and then we get that. People are not okay with what's going on. But back again on relationships. Anybody else want to chime in about relationships? Good, bad, indifferent, any type, any kind. Miss J, how you be?
Hello, everybody.
Oh,
When
hey.
when it comes to relationships, I think it's great to always have a network,
Yeah.
because when you have a network, you're able to have a small village that you can go to help you with things that you may not know about, like about the traveling, situation. I had never
Right.
had a chance to travel. So, I didn't know that. Like my daughter is about to go to college to get her master's degree in Dublin. I have no clue what that even looks like.
Oh, wow. Yeah, she definitely needs to be abreast of what's going on. She's going to Europe, so that being said, she has to. Yeah, she needs to have a clearer and concise plan, because you're in another country.
What's she planning to make study?
Social work.
Dublin, Ireland.
Congratulations.
Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Congratulations. She leaves when?
The end of August.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting. Never heard of that one. So that would be considered, what do you call that when you go abroad?
She's going to study abroad. Yeah.
Study abroad. I know how people, what do you call it? I used to call it something when people come from here and you go over there, they come over here. I forgot what it's called. Anyway. Excellent. But you say
foreign exchange student.
Yeah, exchange students. Yeah, that's it. Exchange. So what's your take on relationships again? Touch base with us on it. You were saying, kind of summarize.
It's better to have a network.
Okay.
Meet people, meet different people. People don't really do much of that anymore, from what I noticed. Like, they don't know that it's better to go out and get to know people, to really get to know them, than to just not do it, stay at your house where you feel the most comfortable. Then I believe sometimes when we do that, we can lose out on getting to know others.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, what I'm finding out is they're just afraid. They're afraid to build their network or to build those relationships. That's why you need always somebody that can help, foster and build that relationship between somebody. Like you said, a network. You got a network, somebody knows somebody that can help me know somebody so that they can know me, And that typically, yeah, you're right. That works more often than not.
But you know what, Steve, I guess this was a question. How do you help explain that to people? Because like today's age with, and I'm just going to use the young people, with being locked off, right? Because of the violence, a lot of young people, their parents, they don't walk the streets like we did when we were kids, right? And stuff.
Right.
So they go to school, a lot of them are transported back and forth by school or bus or something for safety reasons. And then they're just stuck. And because with my nonprofit, I mean, in the last 9 years, I've learned, a lot of kids when they come into my space, you know, in a lot of cases, I can barely hear them speak. Okay, and these kids are 16, 17, 18 years old, and they are talking at a whisper, right? And it's like they're afraid. They're afraid to to just speak, period. But after they go through the program, and I take them, so then they can meet other cultures, and I'll take them to events, and put them on the stage, and they be like, what? I'm like, no, you can handle it, and so then all of a sudden, they learn through, experience, hey, it's okay. And I
Right.
think in school, and my kids are well grown, so in schools, I think they should be at least teaching them something in that vein, public speaking, taking them to explore, so they can get familiar. I've talked to kids in college that, have come through my program, and they, tell me, in some cases, the biggest culture shock was, the multiple, you know, um, different types of cultures, because they
Right.
grew up in Austin, and they grew, and whatever school they went to, they only hung with, if there were people of other cultures there, they only hung with their crowd. And then they get to college and they see all these people and they're in shock, right? They're like, they didn't, it's like, so back to what you're saying about now building my village. How do I do that? Because nobody, my parents, my school, my church, they didn't tell me about this part. They just said, oh, go to school. Oh yeah, you do great. And then they get there, and that's why, or they get there, I've had other kids, wow, yeah, they get to school, and then find out, whatever their aptitude is, they got to take remedial classes the first year,
Because
and then
you think that's because of the lack of their social interaction?
I think so. I think that, well, somebody, they're kids, so somebody needs to expose them to this stuff, right? I mean, as youth, they don't know, right? And so yeah, the schools and the parents, it's something that I guess is not talked about, right? That's the bottom line.
Right, right. No, I agree. I guess for me, when I socially began to interact with others other than the people I grew up around, which was primarily in the Black community, was my first job that I had that was in Bentonville. And I worked with a facility that I was the only Black person that was in the facility. And they had told me, they said, Steve, how'd you get this job? Well, I was the only Black person in the warehouse. I worked in the warehouse at an electronics distributor. And they said, how'd you get this job? The white guy asked. I said, well, my sister works in outside sales, and she told me about the job and recommended me. And they said, oh, okay. Because they said a few years ago, we had a Black guy that was working here. He sued the company because of racial discrimination. And I said, really? And they didn't want to hire any more Black people. I'm like, well, that's discriminating too with me. You can't do that because of what he, claimed. But what I found out was the guy was selling drugs.
Mm.
And he sold drugs to some guys in the front office, and the guys didn't pay him. So he threatened the guy. He said, "Me and my brother's gonna come over here and whoop your ass. You don't give me my money." And one of the managers overheard it, so they fired him because for threatening people and fighting. And he came back and said, "Well, they fired me because they racially discriminated against me." And I guess the judge or the lawyers actually said, "Well, how do you figure?" He said, "Did they ever use derogatory terms or racially charged terms?" He said, "Yeah, they called it. They said the N-word. I was the only one there." So he ended up winning. He never did come back. And then the company had this kind of standoffish effect thing where they weren't hiring any black people for a while. Because I heard it from the people that worked there, But again, my relationship was I got to work with all types of white guys. A lot of them were in rock bands, and I didn't even know they existed. Garage bands, and they were all from like Schaumburg and Carroll Streams and Hanover Park and Bensenville and Itasca and all those different areas. But I had a chance to socially interact with them because that was a different world for me. I did it for about 4 years before I graduated, and then after I graduated too. But it enlightened me. Although I did have different cultures and different people in school, your interactions were a little bit different because everybody was working on a project, everybody's reading, everybody's doing what they were supposed to do. You really didn't have a chance unless you did something after class, which I couldn't because I worked full time, went to school full time, worked full time. So my only interaction with other people and other cultures and others was relating was at work. And that I guess it kind of helped me because I knew how to relate to other people. And hopefully I got trained them and gave them the opportunity to learn how to relate to people other than themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I never forget there was a guy, his name was Rudy Linder. He was like a 27-year-old guy. I was 19, at the time, 18, 19. And he bought a Harley. And he said, "Stevie, come check out my new hog, man." And I knew what Harley was. So he takes me out there to see, he bought a Harley Springer. This is like 1986 or 85 or something like that. He said, "What do you think?" And he cranked it up. And the thing, was and I'm going, "Man, you need to go get your money back because you sound like you need a tune-up." And he said, "No, but it sounds like the Harleys, that's how the engines sound. They sound like they're missing. Like it's missing a cylinder." But he looked at me, he's like, "Man, that's how they're supposed to sound." But I'm like, I've never been around I never saw a Harley up front, close personal with anybody. I never knew anybody that owned a Harley. I've seen him go down the streets, but I didn't pay attention to him like that. But he thought that was the funniest thing. And I was serious. I'm like, "Man, this bike sounds terrible." He's like, "No, man, that's how the hog's supposed to sound." And I'm like, "Okay, I've just been enlightened. That's something that's never been related to me." But I learned a lot from those guys, man. There was another guy. His name was Pete Berwick. Pete was in a punk band called the Generics. Remember when Jewel Osco used to have those generic foods, and they had those generic labels, that kind of greenish taupe-looking label. He had a T-shirt with the same thing. It said Generics, and it was a band. He had the long punk hair and everything. But my story about Pete is he ended up on the front page of the Chicago, I think it was the Sun-Times, when Jim McMahon was just starting to become the big quarterback for Chicago. It might have been 1984. And Jim McMahon, he whipped a can of Coke up at the audience as he was going through the tunnel. And Pete was the person that was yelling at him as he was walking through the tunnel, and you could see the pop flying through the air. No, I take that back. Jim McMahon didn't whip it at the audience. Pete whipped it down at Jim McMahon. And Jim McMahon was arguing back at him. And Pete was on the front page. I'm like, "Dude, you out there giving, heckling the dude and everything." And my point to Pete is he ended up quitting the company. He left a note and he said, I'm going to pursue my career as an artist and I won't be back. And he left a note at the door. It was crazy. I was like, who does that? And somebody told me, they said, man, I seen about a year later, said, man, we see Pete downtown Chicago on the Michigan Avenue Bridge with his guitar and a bucket. He was out there playing the guitar. Yeah. He was out there playing the guitar, man. And hustling. I'm like, you just turned out. We didn't make a lot of money. I think I was making like $4.35 an hour, $4.38 an hour, something like that. He probably was making $5. He had been there a couple of years more. But Pete was another guy that I built a relationship with because all he talked about was music and punk music and all this. And believe it or not, I saw Pete Berwick on what's that thing where you switch the houses? Wife Swap. I saw him on Wife Swap about 10 years ago. Now, mind you, I hadn't seen this guy since 1985.
Boy, Pete just goes on and on, huh?
What's that?
I said Pete goes on and on.
And I seen the dude on Wife Swap. I was like,
wow, that's funny.
He had given me a tape that he had made, an album. I think I still got the cassette tape he made. Pete Berwick, something. But relationships, man. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. We gotta know how to foster them and use them so that we can build, man. Almost everybody on here, I want to say I have somewhat of a relationship with, and I want to have more relationship with as many people as possible. I think I said you probably missed why we just got into this. My neighbor, she has two little boys, and they were out playing yesterday, and we started talking about the neighborhood and people in the neighborhood, and she said, I don't get involved. I don't want to be involved with nobody. I'm like, but you out here talking to me? And I said, your little boys asked to see me. You always say, Steve, you shouldn't even call me. My kids won't see you, Steve. Come to the back, come to the front, can we come? I'm like, yeah, they can see me. We cool, They're little white kids. They're about 4 years old, 2 years old. And they see me, I guess that's somebody they want to relate to. They don't see black people often, I guess. I don't know. Especially at 2 or 4 years old. So she's developing a relationship. But she said she didn't want to be bothered with people in the community because I brought up some things that people were doing in the community. Like there was one guy across the street that yelled at this one of the other neighbors' son. And he had shoveled his snow when it had snowed. And I guess the little boy was walking down the sidewalk and he was stepping in the snow or pushing the snow back on the sidewalk and he ran out, hey, get out of my snow. And the mother heard it and she was like, hey, don't yell at my kid. And the mother this was a different mother. She said, Steve, I went and got a police report because I wanted it on the record. And I'm like, man, all this for snow? We tripping like this? And I'm like, y'all ain't even been on this block as long as I have. That dude been on here maybe 4 years at the most. You've been here about 5 years at the most, whatever. And we bickering about snow and the kid touching the snow? Seriously. But again, because they haven't fostered a relationship. I see the guy. I waved at him a few times. I'm almost sure I have. He's a new guy on the block. Actually, I'm beginning to be the oldest guy on the block now. Me and former fire commander at Austin Town Hall Fire Department, Curtis Powell, he lives on my block. He was there maybe 3-4 years before I got there. The matriarch of the block, which is a lady we call Toots. Now think about that name, Toots. She's 90 years old. We still call her Toots, man. From the day. This lady was born on the block. And she bought the house back from her parents and raised her 4 or 5 kids there. And they were gone when I moved over there 30-something years ago. So, but she just, they just put her in a home for seniors. And they ran a business out of their house. But nevertheless, relationships. And I have to say this. So the neighbor with the 2 little boys, and I was telling her about all the stuff going on in the box. She said, Steve, you know what? I love that you know everybody. And I said, well, because you got to have relationships. good, bad, or indifferent. If they don't like me, I need to know that. If they love me, I need to know that. If they like me, I need to know that. You know, so we can figure out what we need to do to make things better, not make them worse. You know. Anybody got any relationship stories they like to share? And then we can go into the real. I know what the relationships y'all want to talk about. Y'all want to talk about men-women relationships. I know that's where we want to go.
Well, I'm looking for a wife.
Y'all heard Arnold? Arnold said he's looking for a wife. I guess they sleeping on that one. Ain't no takers, Arnold.
Arnold, you got a wife.
She threw you under the bus, Arnold.
Hey, that's when I thought to depend on me.
Okay. You threw you out there, Arnold. Yeah. She gonna be calling in now. What do you mean? What does he mean?
She be thinking.
Oh yeah, right.
She out there putting arm. I know. I'm gonna tell her here.
But anybody have anything to share when it comes to relationships? How about you?
If I could just say this real quick, it's always good to have new relationships because old relationships die. And loneliness is a big problem now.
Right. I like that. I was listening to I don't know, many of you may not know this guy, but he's called like the godfather of rap. His name is KRS-One. He came from the what we call the golden age of rap, which was in the 80s, the late 80s. And he was with a group called Boogie Down Productions from the Bronx. But nevertheless, he's a poet. He even teaches a class, I think, somewhere in New York. But he said that one thing we need to do is we need to foster and build relationships between the old and the new, because the old can teach the new things that they need to know, and then the new can teach the old things that are current that the old need to know. And I'm like, yeah, everybody builds off each other, but you have to foster and build those relationships between old and new. What you say there, Barry?
Hey, Steve. Well, I value my relationship with you.
Likewise, as well, Barry.
So you're an important part of my life. And I just got off the phone a little while ago with my friend Mel, whom I know since high school. And Mel and you seem very similar in lots of ways. And Mel, by the way, is a white guy.
Yeah, I met Mel before.
Yeah. And things happen in relationships. His partner is having a tough time now medically. So I'm not nearly as good at describing relationships as you are. But they really are, I mean, that's what life is. Right. Memories, relationship, connection.
How we, if we were to look at relationships like the solar system and say, the sun is our solar system, right? It's part of our solar system. And the earth revolves around the sun. And the moon is related to our earth because it revolves around the earth as we revolve around the sun. So there are relationships that have to be, or we would not have anything living. So we should look at relationships similar to earth and sun, Earth and Moon, Moon and Earth, and Sun, and other planetary units also, I guess.
So
They're
in
very
that description, is each of us a sun with its, and each of us has connections with other planets, and the planets have moons, etc. And my and, and we thought, and we shine light, on each other.
right. I agree. Yeah, we all are suns that have planetary pools
Mm-hmm.
about our,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good way to put it. I mean, I don't disagree.
So Edie and I have a relationship, but I don't know how to describe it in terms of, the sun, moon.
Yeah.
Yes, Barry. Yes, Barry. We have a relationship. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like Venus and Mars, huh? You both are revolving around the sun.
Yeah, Venus.
But can I say this? Barry, are you finished? Can I say something?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I formed a relationship with a teacher, a coach from Ella Flagg Young School last week. Now he has a chess team from Ella Flagg School,
Mm-hmm.
and what happened is, he has a good team. He's the coach, and they have just came back from Canada. Now they have a trip going to Atlanta. But something happened over in Canada with one of the children. These are different nationality of children.
Mm-hmm.
And something happened. So he's under a gag order. He cannot respond to the parent of these children. So what he asked me to do was to correspond with the parent, because these kids are supposed to leave the 8th of this month to go to Atlanta for a chess tournament.
Competition,
That's
right.
the relation. Huh?
No, yeah, you're right.
So I've been trying to contact the parent of these children so that they can go. But now the school is holding something against him because of something happened over in Canada with one of these students. But the trip has been paid for. The hotel has been paid. Everything has been paid for. But the school is holding the kids hostage because of something happened over in Canada last month with Mr. Yuko. But the parent of the children is saying they're not going to let their kids go unless he go. The parent really love him. He's a good coach. And one of the guys from the congressman's office, son, he coached him some years ago. So now this person from the congressman's office, son, is a doctor. So what he's saying is, if it had not been for this coach teaching him chess, he wouldn't be where he is today. So this is why he's trying to push CPS to let these kids go on to Atlanta to this chess convention. So this is my relationship that I've gained with Mr. Oso, because he's really trying to get the parent to go head on and let the kids go. He can't go, but let the kids go. Don't hold the kids hostage because he can't go. And they do have a chaperone. But it's the CPS is, I don't know, they just holding, I don't know what's going on, but we're trying to get into that. And plus I asked the team that if we could give these kids a celebration, because chess is something different in our community. And these kids are traveling, they're going to different states doing these tournaments. And I think they deserve it because this don't happen all the time in our community.
Right.
So that's why I'm pushing this, and this has a lot to do with the mind. They could be doing other things. These kids is graduating from Ella Flags, Ella Young or whatever the school is. They are graduating this time, right? So he's trying to get them to get involved to where they would have a career, a future. I mean, the guy is really, really good, and the parent of these kids really love him. So I'm working with him. That's the relationship that I have gained with him.
Okay, that's a very tangled web of relationships there, because he's building self-esteem, he's building competition, he's building quite a few things. It sounds like the coach is doing through his relationship with the young people, and then also it's building some security because the parents feel that he's doing the right thing. They feel safe with him. And my only question is that he didn't have a secondary person, like, you know, they usually have a secondary person
And a female also, you know, don't.
right, you know, to back up everything. Is that not the case?
Is he what?
Does he have a secondary person, a backup? Everybody has a backup when they're doing things, you know?
Male and female, yeah, at least, you know.
Well, like I say, we are talking out of the congressman office. Some things is going on with him from CPS, and he's saying that whatever's going on with him and CPS, he don't want the kids held back because of his situation. He could work with that himself. But from the congressman office, we are trying to work out of that to make sure that these kids go on this trip. That's the 8th of this month, which I think is Wednesday. And I'm talking to the parent, you know. So it's a thing going on with CPS, and I don't know. It's a lot going on. But anyway, I'm working with the parents, trying to get them to let the kids go ahead. We have a chaperone. Everything is paid for. In fact, Mr. Oso, he paid the plane fare for these 8 kids.
Wow.
Out of his pocket.
Right.
That's the legend right here.
Well, here's something that I'm just going to sidebar that Chris Dyer just put out. The Gone Again Travel Tours, Austin Gardens, Garden to Table Trolley Tour is coming up June 6th and July 11th and August 1st and September 5th. These are all Thursdays. I guess they're actually doing 40 seats on the trolley tours that will start at we're at Gone Again Travel, 4952. That's new location. Trolleys will take passengers on a tour of the local community gardens, and they are part of the Austin Gardens Collective. Trolleys will finally stop. Final stop will be at the Austin Town Hall Farmers Market, which is 5610 West Central. So feel free to partake, because this is free for those dates. All right. I'm sorry, Ms. J. I didn't want to take away from you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was finished. I was just saying, hopefully, if it's the Lord's will, we're gonna do a celebration, because we're getting letters out to all the politicians, because this is something big in our community, in Austin community. This is really something big.
Yeah, I think the kids should definitely go, because they're looking forward to it. Although their coach may not be able to make it, but they should have a backup, and somebody should be able to step in to help assist with this. You know, that nose chest. You know, I'm sure there are many people out there that can assist.
And just to ask, did they win in Canada?
Yeah, it was a couple of them won first, second, and third place.
Okay, great, right? Because I knew they were going, but I didn't know the outcome. Okay.
Yeah.
Glad you brought Ella Flag Young up. I'm supposed to go to their career day next week. The 9th? Yeah, the 9th is next week, yeah. I'm invited to their career day celebration or event.
Oh, wow, that's great. All right.
Yeah, I've done it many, many years ago. Probably 15 plus years ago, I actually went and talked about my life and experience as a mechanical industrial design engineer. And, I wear a lot of different hats now, so I'm going to have to switch my hats up and tell them about everything that they can have a vast amount of careers in. All they got to do is just try, and do what we're trying to get people to understand. Build those relationships. Go see the world. Go see the other side. I'll tell you this story real quick. Young man, we used to have a program called Exodus to Excellence at NAC. And what it was, we would take young people from the ages of 8 to 18, and I try to every day, 4 days of the week, show them a male person of influence, of positive influence. And when I say that, you could be a gang member, but you have to be an ex-gang member. You have to tell the young people what the do's and don'ts are about being in the life of, well, no, there aren't any do's. You won't tell them the do's, but being in the game, but what it's like once you're out. So I had guys that were stockbrokers. I had ministers. I had, like I said, ex-gang members. I even had the exterminator. I didn't have a guy one day, so I had a guy named Joe Hart. He's the guy that did my extermination, for pest control and roaches and rats. So I said, Joe, you mind talking to young people today? I don't have anybody for them to speak to them. And he said, sure. So Joe came. He said, they ain't gonna listen. I said, go and do it. So he went out. The first thing that he said, you know what I am? And he said, oh yeah, you kill rats, man. You're just a rat killer. He's like, no, what if I told you Mr. Robinson paying me $50 an hour? They were like, what, $50 an hour? I had him in for like 2-3 hours, go through the whole building. So $150 ain't much, but to the kids, when you say $50 an hour, they go, whoa, $50 an hour. And he says, yeah, you got to know how to mix chemicals. You got to know how to count and disseminate between a quarter of a cup and half a cup. So you got to know math. And so it intrigued them after you brought the money into, you tell me $50 an hour, I'm gonna look. What you selling? What I got to do? But again, Exodus to Excellence was the program. One of the things I really want to say was when I was thinking about you, Crystal, is that there was a young boy on there on Fridays. We would take him to different parts of the city. I remember one time we took him to the African exhibit at the Art Institute. We took him to Millennium Park. We took him to see the Sky Games. We took him to see the Sox games. We took him to see the arena football games. Try to expose them to different things that they probably didn't have an opportunity to see and be involved with. But one young man that was at Austin High School, I want to say he was like 16 or 17. And we went to the Sox game, and he goes, this is where the Sox play? And I'm thinking, how could you not have been past the expressway and not looked up to see the stadium for many, many years and decades? I'm like, he's never been outside of Austin. He's never seen this anywhere to realize what it looked like in person or any other way. And I'm like, wow, we really doing a bad job of exposure for our kids. And it took me back to a time when I was working as an engineer on the west side of Chicago at 4444 West Ohio, right off of Kilbourne in Ohio, right across from the incinerator. And there was a young man, he lived in Henry Hornets project, and he would take the bus down Lake Street and walk from Lake Street down Kilbourne to Ohio, which is almost a block from Chicago Avenue. And I was doing a technical call one time, and as I was doing this technical call, he came up to my office. He said, I need to talk to you, Steve. And I said, hold on a minute. I'm on a call with someone from Florida. And being that they're in Florida, I need to finish this call before because they're on a different time zone. And he looked at me crazy. Man, ain't no time zone. What are you talking about? It was such a time zone. So I finished the call. And I went to talk to the young man. And I said, well, he said, first of all, man, what are you talking about time zones? There ain't no such thing as time zone. I said, wait a minute. There are. I said, there's at least 24 time zones about the whole earth. And he said, no. I said, where do you live? He said, I live in Henry Horn. I was born there. He's 19, 20 years old. And he said, where you live at, Steve? I said, well, I live in Austin. At the time I lived in Austin, I said, right across from Oak Park. And he said, Oak Park, what? I think I heard of that. I said, wait a minute, man, you 20 years old, you right off of Madison, Henry Horner's right off of Madison and Damon, and you ain't never been that far. That ain't even far west. It's just straight down Madison. You run into the Oak Park. He had no idea at that age. But again, exposure, no relationship to anything other than what you barely were related to, and I think that's a failure on many of us. You know, we have to expose people and young people to things that are the rest of the world. How did the world become so small with the internet? But they don't have the exposure. Somebody explain that to me.
And this is the thing too, I've learned dealing with young people, you know, like people think, well, whatever, like the parents' occupation, gives them certain, benefits. But when the parent is working all the time, I had a young man, his mama was a nurse, right? So you think, wow, nurse, right? They're living a good life, she makes a lot of money. And I took them downtown. He didn't even know what the Chicago River was. Wow. I thought he was looking at the boats. He was like, Miss Crystal, what's that? And I say, oh, well, those are tour boats. And he said, no, the water. The what? The water. That's the Chicago River. It feeds into Lake Michigan. And I'm like, so the things we as adults don't know what we don't know. You understand? Like people think, we take things for granted, all the time, or like I say, oh wow, his mom's a nurse, so that affords him a way better lifestyle than a child whose parent may be on welfare, right? But still, that nurse is working all the time, and she still, she didn't have the time to, expose her child to what was around them. And right. he was 18.
Wow. Never been outside his own environment.
No.
That's the crazy part. But again, no relationship to the rest of the world.
No. Right.
It's a small world now with the internet, being there for us, but it keeps your mind closed because you don't leave outside of it. You see it, but I don't even think they believe it exists. They just think it's something inside of the screen. But Dr. Raheem, what you know good?
Hey, what's going on, Steve? How you doing?
We just touching base on relationships. Good, bad, or indifferent. We haven't even gone into what we really want to talk about. That's male and female relationships. Okay. That can be very in depth.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we're just talking about what you got any good experiences with relationship building, culturing, formating.
So you're asking like how to build relationships or the importance of it?
Well, all the above. It's just a little anecdote, stories of how, if you had to, or if you know how to, or any of those, anything that has to do with relationships that you want to share.
I guess just being curious, man. So like asking questions, asking people about themselves. Like the I didn't see who it was. I think she was talking about the lake, or not the lake, but Chicago River.
Right.
So like if the kid, if he never would have asked, he would have kept like that in his head, he never would have got an answer. So like being able to ask questions, not being ashamed to not know stuff, being curious about people, So
right.
I think that's like one of the first steps to building a relationship.
Yeah, Okay, that's a good point. But I was gonna say, how do you be curious about something that you never been around or seen? So you gotta explore then, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, for sure.
I got it. I got it. Would you anybody else care to share their relationships advice when it comes to any kind of relationship? How about it? I don't know what happened. Venus, you got anything you want to share when it comes to relationships? Any relationship?
What about like your relationship with yourself? Like
Um,
how do you develop that?
no, break it down. I'm a little on track, but not 100%. What do you mean? How do you
Well,
understand yourself? How do you
yeah. So like, how do you understand yourself? How do you develop like self-knowledge?
think a lot of that probably comes from self-fear. You got to relinquish the fear in order to venture into what you want to know. Most of the time, that's what holds people back is fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you can get beyond the fear, you can go to the knowledge stage, to learning. And if it's self-knowledge, I mean, most things that people don't know about themselves is because they never tried it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once they try it, it's like what they say: put your hand in that fire and see what you're gonna get. Once you feel that heat, you gonna know. Don't do what I just told you, because that didn't feel too good, did it? So now you know two things. Don't listen to Steve when it comes to doing something stupid, or you know what? You can get burned when you put your hand in fire. You know, that's typically what I think people do when it comes to what do you call it? Self-relatable things, items, ideas.
Yeah.
What you say, Ben? Oh, you got to go ahead, Ryan. What you say?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. You can go ahead.
Now, what you got to say? Did you got anything you want to share about relationships?
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I can't keep on. I mean, my phone keep acting up that y'all can't hear me when I'm ready to talk. I had a lot to say, but my phone wouldn't let me connect. But I know one thing about relationship, and I like what the young fellow just said about what about relationship with yourself. What I want to talk about is communication. If you don't have communication with any situation, you can't build a relationship. You can't build a connection. That was an important question that he asked about relationship with yourself. And that's where it starts at, building a relationship with yourself. And if you have confidence uh, and you're ready to interact with others, then you can communicate in a normal way, right way, a great way to continue on building relationship. And that's the main thing is just keep on adding on, keep building, because you can learn something from everybody.
Yep, everybody and everything, right?
Right. The young, you could right now these days, we really can learn from the young, but we can learn from whoever we are around if we take time to get to grow and know and build who we growing around with.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to say to that, having a relationship with yourself, like I talk to myself. I think everybody probably do. And
They
sometimes,
should.
and I tell myself I could do it. I'm going to do it. I talk positive to myself. And I think if you talk positive to yourself, that'll give you strength. And I think if you talk negative to yourself, it'll hold you down.
Right. Well, I was gonna say one thing about it, Tiny. I guess we all do talk to ourselves, but I guess if we start answering, it's time to look for a specialist.
Yeah.
Like you say, man, I don't know if that moon is up there. Yes, it is. It's over there, the bill right there. Well, it ain't right there. It's over here. Right there. Wait a minute now. How many people talking in your head? You know, you can talk and listen, but I think once you start talking back, that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
But I agree. I totally agree. You have to encourage yourself. You have to feel that self-esteem. Is it? Is that what it's called? Self-esteem.
Well,
Yeah.
you can talk back to yourself in a positive way, just like Tiny said. He telling himself that, I can do this. I could achieve this. I want to experience something
Right.
new. So, you have to grow within yourself to connect with others.
I agree. I agree. I was just saying if you start answering out loud, you walking down the street and you say something to yourself in here, I need to grow. And all of a sudden you say, yeah, I do need to grow. And I think that voice that just told me is on the right track. That's a conversation. It's different between affirmation and a conversation.
Steve, I think a positive way of talking to yourself and having a conversation is when I can take the different parts of myself and have a conversation among those parts to try, if there's a part of me who's like a scared child, I need another part of me who's more like a king or a warrior or something, to comfort the boy part of me.
So give an example how that would play out.
Sometimes I get frightened, and I recognize that that it's a childish side of myself that's frightened, and that in reality, as my adult self sees it, it's not a frightening situation. I'm safe. Nobody's knocking on my door to harm me. It's my thinking and fearing something.
Gotcha. So you saying?
Or
takes the child.
Or I've got a big decision to make, and part of me wants to do it one way, and the other part of me wants to do it a different way. So if I've got the presence and take the time to really look at the 2 points of view, it's not like pros and cons kind of point. There's a part of me that's more like a like a strong king, and another part of me that's more like an adventurer who wants to really do it. It'd be really fun, be exciting. Another part of me is that, whoa, wait a minute.
Right. You got to push and a pull.
Yeah.
The yin and the yang.
And when it's really important then I would, if it's really important and really troubling me, that's when I would take the time to look at those parts.
Gotcha. So, everybody got that? I guess, let me just ask this question. When it comes to relationships, do you guys really want to talk about the real nitty gritty when it comes to relationships?
Yeah, found me a wife here, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, Steve.
Well, we ain't gonna do it in this because we at the 8 o'clock hour now. But that's
Yeah, that's
something
true.
let's talk about that, right? Really quick. Is that something that we really want to talk about? Male-female relationships. I need somebody to give me a
Yes.
yes. Yes.
Yes.
Who said yes? Who is that?
Raheem.
Oh, okay, right here. Yeah. Okay, so that's something we gonna definitely dive into next. We got enough men on here, enough women on here. We're gonna talk about the pros and the cons, the birds and the bees, the apples and the seeds, whatever it is, when it comes to male-female relationships. How to foster those, how to make those better, how to communicate, all of that. I'm glad Venus brought that up. Communication is a very integral part of it all. It's probably the most important part.
Venus and Thelma, bitch.
Yeah, Venus, I ought to say you didn't communicate on them yet. But it's absolutely true. So next week, that's what we will do. We'll dive into that. Unless you guys got anybody you want me to bring on, I can have them come on. And maybe we need a relationship person to come on and talk. You look who anybody got any ideas that can come that I can get on and talk about relationship building?
Raheem.
Right.
Hey,
Yeah,
Raheem. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He's the anti-relationship builder. But I think about it. I think about who I could get, and we'll dive right into that. We'll definitely dive into that. And I guarantee you, it's gonna be one of the hottest shows because people always want to know what does it take to stay in a healthy relationship. What do you call it, Arnold? Not spousal, but significant other relationship, I guess that's what we call it. But this time we're gonna go around the room and see if anybody have anything to add or lay into the show. Go ahead, Barry. Go ahead. You start off. You got anything closing?
Yeah. I had something, but I don't right at the moment. So
we'll come back.
Okay.
How about you got anything in conclusion?
Yeah, I would just like to say I thought it was a great show tonight. Good to get some things off my chest. And I want Crystal Dyer's number because I want to try to do a cruise with the Peacemakers.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
So, Ms. Can I get the number or you give it to me? Send it to me.
I'll give it to you for sure.
And keep up the good work.
All right, appreciate that.
All right.
Ms. J, you got anything in conclusion? Anything hot new that we need to know about going on? Come back. Ms. Houston, Ella Houston, you got anything in conclusion? Raheem, anything in conclusion?
Good show tonight, Steve. Looking forward to the relationship piece next week, man. So,
yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, I'm on it to dive in from their own personal experience, and then if I can get somebody that can tell us more, I'll do that. Appreciate it. How about you, Tamika?
Hey, Steve, can I say something?
Oh yeah, come on, real quick, Tiny, what you got?
Yeah, okay. Like in a relationship, a male-female relationship, I find it's not 50-50, it's 70-30 on both sides.
70-30? Not 100%, 100%?
70-30, you got 50%. You got to give more than 50%, and both people have to give more than 50%.
So why not each person put out 100% of what they do best?
Or that, or 100%.
Yeah, you bring
Yeah,
100%.
but I just saying it's not 50-50.
Right. It's not 50-50 because you never get to a total 100. Yeah, you're right. Because then you're lacking in what they bring. If one person is an excellent cook and another person is an excellent gardener, then let them do 100% of the gardening and let the other one do 100% of the cooking. You know, why try to trade off when the other person probably doesn't want to do that anyway? And they're good. And the other person says, hey, I'm good with doing this because this is what I do. I got what you're saying, Ty. Absolutely. So, Mika, what you got?
I agree that, people, when you get into a relationship with others, you have strengths and you have weaknesses. They have strengths and they have weaknesses. When you play on your strengths within the relationship can work out better. But what I see from human nature is that people want to do what's the easiest overall. And then sometimes that falls under the category is of the one person doing way more than the other, and the other person starts feeling unappreciated.
Good point. Hold that one to next week. We're gonna dive into that when we talk about relationships next week for sure. And bring your friends because we're gonna get into it. How about you, Miss J? One more time. I'm about to go around a little bit more. You got anything in conclusion? How about you, Venus? Anything in conclusion? Okay. Anybody else?
Okay, can you hear me? Steve, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Oh, okay. My phone. Steve, I don't think you need to look for nobody to bring up, relationship. I think we all can come together and spread what we know.
There you go.
So far it's going great. I'll just invite more people to tune in, though.
We're gonna dive into this next week, right off the jump, because everybody want to know, or they say inquiring minds want to know, right?
That's right.
Okay. Honor, you got anything in conclusion? I'm about to wrap it up.
Yeah, still no invitation.
He's still talking about where his wife at. Y'all got to find him a wife.
Yeah, I'm invite Wim on for next week.
There you go. There you go. Well, as DeAndre always says, we got
Steve.
Sure. Go ahead. You got it there. What you got?
Yeah, I think relationship is really great to talk about that, and also self.
Also who?
Self. What Raheem brought up, or someone brought up, knowing yourself. Maybe it was.
I got you. Great.
Because relationship can really get screwed up.
If you don't know yourself.
If you're screwed up.
Yeah, that's true.
Good show, Steve.
Must know themselves. So as DeAndre always says, we always do this thing from 6 to 8 every Sunday, and you always have room here at the table. Welcome to Northwest Austin Council, and I want to say good night, all.
Good night, all.
Lady, y'all.
God bless everybody.
I don't say he want a wife. Y'all go find him a wife by the next show.
We're gonna invite Wilma.
Be careful for what you ask for, Arnold.
Take me 70-30 off.